All right, so I'm going to do the next lightning talk. So the title of my talk is that you should write stories or user stories with developers. You don't write them for developers. Now, where this has come from is the work that I do across a lot of different organisations. Quite a disappointing trend that I've seen over the last few years is we've all gone agile, but then you've got business analysts who work ahead of the developers, and they create the stories, and then they hand them over to the developers who pick up the stories and then read the stories, and then they're supposed to work from that. Okay, does anyone see the inherent problem with that? Yeah, it's mini waterfall, isn't it? Okay, so I guess how many business analysts do we have here? Anyone? Okay. Just to test your safety, do any of you currently fit in that world where you feel like you're developing stories for developers?
We had this whole discussion today. We ran a workshop with our developers about how they need to be more engaged with the whole process. Right,
so you feel developers need to be more engaged, and yeah. So what's interesting, and some of the conversations that tend to appear from this is, I have BAs who come up to me when I'm on site and they go, can we just sit down and have 5 minutes? I want to talk about user stories, right? What's the right level of granularity we should be writing in these user stories for the developers? Because the developers complain it's either too detailed or not detailed enough. Have you got any advice? And I just say, just stop. Just stop what you're doing. Okay, so let me give you an example, right? So I've got 3 different levels of granularity. This one is a simple card that just says log on. All right. The next one is, what is it? All the textbooks say you should articulate a story. As a sysadmin, I want to log on so that I can access the system. All right, that's probably a bad example, but it's just an example. The other extreme is we have a story, normally stored in Jira, which has then got the as a I want to so that I can. There's a load of text, which is a description of the feature. We've then got countless amount of acceptance criteria. We've then got a wireframe, which is quite high fidelity. They've even specified what the hex values and the colours are. They've specified the detail of the X and the Y and all the different dimensions of each of the components on there. They've also very kindly included a technical architecture diagram as well in there. Okay, they've also, this is great, they've included a package of test data as well, which is really useful. You can't say none of that is useful, but actually how this has been created is the problem, because it's a business analyst who's done this on their own in isolation and then handed it over. Okay, so remember, stories are created with developers, not for developers, and you need to come up with a way that how can you engage better with developers if you are a business analyst. But also, if you're a developer, how can you kind of get into the design element and that kind of upfront conversations and get more engaged with it? Okay, so you've got to find ways of doing that. I've also come across a couple of pretty ridiculous stories. These are real stories that I've recreated for your benefit. Here's a classic. As a developer, I want to install MySQL so that I can persist data. Right, so why not just have a task which says install MySQL? Yeah. Again, we get too hell-bent on these textbooks which say, oh, stories must be articulated and blah, blah, blah. No, they don't say they must be articulated. They suggest this is one of many useful formats in which you may decide to articulate a requirement for a shared understanding.
Was the developer the end user in that context?
Yeah, the developer had actually written the task himself, because there was this rule that nothing can be on the board unless it is written as a story.
I don't know, as a sysadmin, I want all the developers to be getting their MySQL from the same place. It all wants to be the same version.
Yeah.
And they don't want to be dicking around and giving me a whole different slew of MySQLs that won't necessarily run in my environment.
Yeah.
Developers are a pain in the the answer.
Right.
If you just let them off-road and download the latest and greatest MySQL, they will, and they'll have no sympathy with me.
Don't know why they want to do that.
You're making the wrong assumption that they've actually got any kind of local admin access or on the machine. So come on, this is the 21st century. Don't give them just run of the mill these days. Oh no. Right. Anyway, so detector. Sorry. Yeah.
Whether it's a story card or a task card, how does that matter?
Say again. Sorry.
Whether a story card or a task card, what's the difference and how that's going to matter?
Story and tasks.
I know, I understand.
Let's not get into that now. We could.
Developer asked me,
Yeah.
I mean, I just need to create a card. I don't care whether it's a story card.
For me, it's all work at the end of the day. Yeah. And going back to, I guess, Kevin's comment around, the 5-day rule, we need to be talking about chunks of work which are small enough for a cross-functional team to be able to deliver within a short period of time to get the feedback. Yeah. So whether you call that a task, a story, you may that developer okay. Some people say, well, that's a task. Well, okay, right, it's a task. Cracking, get on with it. You might just have it as simple as that. Now this one. This is real. As a manager, I want to hold a team meeting so that I can prep the team for annual appraisals.
That's so full of issues.
Wow.
So full of problems.
He just wants to have something up on the board. The developers are going to share, and he's got nothing, and he is feeling.
Well,
He's not going his way, unless he has got a story on that board. Because all the cool kids are
Annual appraisal.
Yeah.
Or the team could be resistant to a team meeting, and the only way of doing it is putting a story on so they can allocate the time to something.
This must be a really agile organisation, this one.
That's exactly my thoughts.
well,
and that's what the manager's
It looks like even the HR team are
this is one of those rare occasions when you kind of look at an organisation. This is one sort of very tip of the iceberg, should we say, of some of the other key issues, and it was incredible that, and I just sort of said, I can't help you. Seriously. Have you ever been seen it on the movies where someone creeps into a cave and there's a sleeping bear and you go, you kind of got, can't help you with this one.
I bet they have a KPI for the amount of hours you spend per story, and you had to allocate it to a story, and that's why you wouldn't go to a team meeting.
I saw that stuck in, funnily enough, the backlog. I might never get out the backlog. But yeah.
place, was it?
No, no, definitely it's a long time ago. Okay, so that's it. Key message is always write stories with developers, and don't be hung up by particular formats of. This is about common understanding. Okay.
I have a question. One of the things that I think I've seen a lot around the sort of BA relationship is that whether it's the BA or it's the product owner or whichever person is responsible for writing the stories or whatever in organisations, is that there's this misnomer that the BA or the business is essentially somehow separate from the cross-functional team. For a team to deliver stuff, they have to, as a team, come up with the stuff to deliver. They need to know what they're delivering. It's the whole team that responds to a customer. So there isn't that division. The BA is not chucking stuff over the fence. The developers aren't chucking stuff to test or back or forth or whatever. There is just a whole bunch of people who are all working together. I don't complete the whole idea of getting everyone to.
Yeah, but interestingly enough, though, there was a phrase. I don't know. Maybe somebody else will know who came up with this phrase. I heard it a while ago, and they said developers invented Agile to get closer to customers, not to get closer to project managers. Or BAs or change for something else. But again, though, it is kind of, well, if we're saying that, actually, why do we want a, sorry, it's not a dig at you, but why do you want a BA between a developer and a customer? We'll say, well, developers are better off spending their time developing, surely. No, it's a collaboration. But there may be certain skills, facilitation skills, that maybe some development teams don't have. So
there's no loss of value in having a product owner or a BA on a team who is essentially a kind of the product expert, somebody there who really knows the business area well, knows that, because it's, it's going to be, if you're building, complex financial systems, for example, there's a good chance that you're going to need somebody that actually understands those, and chances are at least half your dev team are going to have that, that understanding. Certainly not from day one necessarily.
Yeah.
But it is a collaborative effort. That's just the thing that there's people like to build silos everywhere. Every team.
I think that collaborate. So I don't know where it came from. It might have been a Mike Cohn thing from a long time ago. Though. If you look at a user story as a placeholder for a conversation, you always call it. Which is one thing that it just highlights that actually it doesn't matter which of those it is. If it reminds you to go and sit together and go, oh well, this is kind of what I thought, and can we have a bit more like this? Then it doesn't really matter about the content, because all this stuff might be helpful one day, but if you're not talking about it until it's done, then you're going to fail, aren't you? So I kind of like that approach.
The biggest problem I see is around that is the fact that you'll have a story written out by a BA, and it comes to the day of planning, and the team are sat around the story, but the BA's off sick, and the team go, we can't, I don't know what this login thing, I guess we need to go and install MySQL or whatever. I don't know, they won't really know because they don't feel like they have that decision-making ability to be able to do it, whereas actually it should be perfectly capable for the team to kind of go, it's about logging in. I think we can just about collaborate on working out what this needs to be and get something out, together. And then the BA's in the next day, and they can, clarify any points that they thought, give their input.
If they do the simplest possible thing,
exactly.
Login, and then test it, and then do something else.
Exactly. If you just take the first steps, there's always an obstacle to starting work, it seems.
Yeah. Okay. So, sorry, I want to just keep it short. We'll continue conversations in a minute. I'll bring it to a bit of an end. So, because it's supposed to be quite short, these. Now, this is obviously quite a hot topic. I've created a free business analyst cheat sheet, which you can go. Has anyone downloaded it yet? Anyone in the room?
Yeah.
Yes! Brilliant. It's getting out there. Loads of spelling mistakes, anything picked up on, but essentially, what we're talking about here is some of the relationships between the roles and the sorts of the behaviours that we're trying to encourage within Agile teams. Not necessarily, this is another excuse why I don't have to talk to developers. I can create these perfect stories now and hand them all over. It's not about that, okay? So go and download it, bit.ly/agile-ba, and it's free of charge. Okay, thank you very much. Any more lightning talks from anyone?
Do one off the cuff if you want.
Actually, Kev, what time do you want us out?
Back at 9.
9?
Yeah.
Okay. That's actually out the building at 9. Well, what we'll do is, can you save yours for next month, if that's all right? Because what we'll do is we'll leave about half an hour 15 minutes for networking now, conversations. There's probably loads of things you want to talk about following the talks tonight. Quick reminder of the sponsors. So, big round of applause to Valtech for the office. I know we've got CDL, we've got iancarroll.com, we've got Solutioneers, we've got Flowcore, and have I forgotten anyone? No. Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you very much, and we'll see you all. Next month we've got a couple of people coming asking me that they want to do talks, which is brilliant. One of the things I want to do, I've been doing a lot of recently, is a what's the best way of doing it? A kind of story writing workshop. Would anyone find that useful? So, but we need diversity to be able to do that. We just don't want a whole bunch of BAs turning up. Yeah. So we need. Sorry, no, it's not. No, that's actually bashing everybody else. Yeah, we need testers, we need developers, we need product owners or product management people. Yeah, we need as much richness and diversity to make that effective. Designers.
BAs doing wires.
Yeah.
You shouldn't really.
Right. Thank you. So networking. Off we go. Thank you. Oh yeah, sure, yeah. Great, thank you.